In this episode of the Sam Oldham podcast, I'm joined by Adam Tobin, the 2023 British All-Around Gymnastics Champion. Adam went on later that year to represent Great Britain at the European Championships and win a team bronze medal. He was a very successful junior athlete, winning a team silver at the 2018 Junior European Championships, and later that year was representing Great Britain at the Youth Olympic Games in Singapore. Oh, not in Singapore, that was me. In Buenos Aires. Adam, it's great to have you this morning, mate. Obviously, I've just reeled off all your achievements there. Yeah. You've had a great career, and I think we're at a point in time where your generation that represented GB at that Junior European Championships in 2018 is almost coming of age. You're around the age of 24, 25, all of you now. You've got Jake doing incredible things. Jamie's obviously come back into the forefront this year. Yourself, Pavel's making a comeback for the Commonwealth Games. I know that Donnell, who was part of that team, isn't doing gymnastics anymore. What surprised you, Adam, about how long maybe it takes to find your feet in senior gymnastics after you reach kind of the pinnacle of the junior end of the sport and you're 18 and yourself, you were the only athlete that represented Great Britain at the Youth Olympic Games. What has maybe surprised you about how difficult that transition is to find who you are as a senior athlete?
Firstly, thanks for the intro. That was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you turn senior at the age of 18 and you're like trying to find your feet and gain these skills and experience. But for me, I'm at the age of 24 now, like you said, and I still haven't found my feet. I haven't made a team other than the 2023 Europeans because I was reserve and then got put in. So yeah, I'm still trying to find my feet. Other gymnasts might find their feet a lot earlier, which they have. Like Jake, for example, is just, gone skyrocket, which is amazing. And I'm very happy for him. But yeah, like Jamie's come back now. He's just done his first senior Europeans, got team gold. So honestly, massive congratulations to him. I'm so happy. But yeah, I think for us as gymnasts, it's just depending on who you are and what you're trying to strive for and how your body can deal with gymnastics. It's just timing and being patient and being strategic in what you do in competitions and in training, and then hopefully you find your feet and can just attack it from there.
Is it difficult, Adam, not to compare yourself to other people, and is that something maybe you've learned over the last few years, that you're right? Like there'll be some athletes that will have this trajectory where they just go at 100 miles an hour and all of a sudden they've gone from 18 being a junior to 19, 20 at an Olympic Games. But then there are other athletes that are more of a slow burner, say someone like James Hall, who goes on a little bit later to have that success, and he has to kind of learn, almost earn his stripes before he gets that opportunity. Do you feel like you're at a point now in your mid-20s where you're able to focus more on just what you're doing? Like, what's my goal? Yeah,
I think I've definitely come to terms with I know what I'm good at and what I'm average at.
Okay.
For like floor and vault, I know I'm not amazing, so that's strategic for me. Rings, I'm strong. I'm not naturally strong, but I'm strong when I'm fit. So that for me is like the pinnacle of getting me into the team and getting my all around up. High bar as well, that's the strategic. I need to put a good high bar routine together. Same on parallel bars, I'm not amazing, but if I put the right routine together, I get the result that I want. And Pommel just being cool, calm and relaxing, getting through it, how he is before. But yeah, James, he's a very wise man. He's given me lots of good advice, and I'm very grateful for it. And yeah, a good example is now he was 18 or 19, went into his first Olympics. He just, found his feet a lot earlier in his sport and was being strategic about it. And yeah, went to the Olympics, got his Olympic medal, and living a good life now.
But then, I guess, retired at 23, which is like super young, right? You're older than that now.
I know,
He'd already retired a year ago. So, yeah, that probably says a lot about the intensity of that progression into that senior team can sometimes really impact the longevity of your career. Do you take a lot of inspiration, Adam, from seeing the success Jamie's had this year? Because he's someone as well at times where people will have maybe written him off and said, Jamie's never going to probably do it. And then all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere, to an extent, wins the British title, And all of a sudden, he's like the top all-rounder that we've got in the country, goes to Europeans, wins a gold medal, finishes 9th all-around. That must be someone that you look to. Well, I grew up with Jamie, maybe had a similar trajectory as me since we went to that Junior European Championships, and then all of a sudden he's just turned that around.
Yeah. No, Jamie is... Obviously, like you said, like the Junior Europeans with him and train with him, and I'm very good mates with him. But I also know what he's like, and I know how good he is when he's on it.
Okay.
Obviously, he's had his injuries over the last couple of years, but it was only a matter of time before he came back and stormed ahead, which he did this year. And yeah, fair play to him. He was ready.
It's interesting that, isn't it? Because sometimes as an athlete, you maybe don't have like an understanding or appreciation of how your teammates feel about you, because you've probably never said that to Jamie. And probably if Jamie had heard that, he'd be like, "Whoa, really? You think I can still?" You know, but you get so in your own lane, don't you? And you're just inside your own head. And sometimes you probably don't. And I guess that's maybe part of the sport, right? Because effectively you are competing against each other for the same places. Yeah. So you don't want to give too much away. But actually, you know, everyone kind of, there's a collective understanding of someone, right? Like if you see someone in the gym do something that's ridiculous, you kind of all look at each other like, that's just crazy, isn't it? Yeah. But that person's probably not seeing you reacting like that.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe, Adam, like, when I look at the last kind of 5 or 6 years, do you think maybe you've suffered from the fact that there has been more of a, it feels to me, certainly from the direction that the national coaches have gone in, they've seemed to have been picking teams based more on specialists and all-arounders. Do you think that's made it tricky for you to break into the team at times?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed it. But I guess from what they're doing is they want medals. We want medals for our country, which I get. So the people who are good on those apparatus and have a high chance deserve to go, absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, when it comes down to the team, because to be honest, the team is what I want. I want the medal for the team, for the country. Like that would be my ultimate goal. I'm not too concerned about winning a medal on an apparatus.
Okay.
But again, like we need the all-arounders, and the all-arounders can fit into the team, especially when you got to put your hand up and deliver a routine. So I'm sure at some point we'll get back round to having those individuals who will just do the job for the team. Yeah. And alongside with the specialists.
Yeah. So, and it's an interesting time, isn't it? Because we've gone from having like Max or previously Lewis Dan Keaton's Max that will always take a spot on a team as a pommel specialist. Yeah. We now don't really have a pommel specialist. I know we've got Alex that's doing very well at the moment, but he's still pretty young. We've gone to now having like being deep on floor, vault and rings, which in a way is good for you, right? Like your strengths would probably be parallel bars, high bar. I know we said rings, but also you're very, very consistent on pommel horse. Do you look at that team makeup now and go, I could be that guy? Like I could be the guy that is that all-arounder that can cover for anybody. And how do you feel the new code maybe benefits you now? And that's changed because dropping from 10 skills to 8 skills, that's just bringing everybody closer together. Yeah. Do you feel like that over the next few years, it's a real good opportunity for you to really like push to be that guy on the team that is the James Hall of the team, you know? Yeah.
I mean, I've had a few people say like I'm the next James Hall. I'm that
Not that you want to be, look, you want to be Adam Tobin, right? But James obviously had a great career.
Absolutely, and to walk into his footsteps I'd be very proud to do, and something I believe I'd like to be. I'd like to be the anchor of the team. I'd like to be the guy that can put his hand up and do the routines, but at the same time push boundaries for myself and surprise other people that, you know, are more than just the guy that can put his hand up and deliver a routine. I might want to win medals on the side for myself, like the all-around or even a high bar medal in the future. But yeah, the code, I'm still getting used to it. I mean, we've just changed the dismounts again. You can't like start next year. You can't do triple.
How do you feel about that, Adam? Like that change? Like I looked at it and I was like, I do understand it because obviously it's probably not a coincidence that, you know, you had that very serious neck injury at the World Student Games, and then we've seen the video obviously of Donnell slipping doing a triple pike on rings. But in terms of a fan and like entertainment, I was like, this is great. Like, I love it. I don't know whether they could have gone around it maybe a slightly different way. And maybe you still get that benefit, right? Because if you do a D dismount, you still only get the 0.4, I think. Is that right,
0.5.
Adam? You get the 0.5 if you do a D.
Wait, in the code now?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you get a 0.4, yeah.
Yeah, so there still is a benefit of doing an E or, let's say, an F compared to doing a D dismount. So it still does that. My only concern is it's going to get very repetitive again, and you're just going to get double straight off high bar and double front off P bars.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, for me, it kind of works. Because I can't really do massive dismounts, especially end of a routine. You know, in my head, going into the new code, I was like, right, I'm not going to push hard dismounts. I'm just going to focus on the stuff in my routine.
Okay. And
get the bonuses and the start values through that, because I don't want to be gassed out at the end of a high bar routine and try and do a triple back and knacker myself. And the same with rings as well, and doing triple back with I'm just like, you know, I'll work on my strength.
Yeah.
That's where I build the start value and the execution and the D score and whatnot. But I think the FIG have done something which is good for the athletes. I know it's not what the public eye might want to see. They want to see the massive dismounts and like yourself and the triple backs and whatnot. But in my opinion, I think they've looked at this year and gone, you know what, it is a bit dangerous, and I think we should look after the athletes, which I think is good. Yeah,
I think you're right, mate, because as much as like the fan in me loves it, it is a bit like the Wild Wild West. Yeah. I'm like seeing people wind up for triple backs, and I'm going, I'm not confident. No. I am not comfortable or confident with you doing it. You look so fatigued and tired. But there's such a like big reward and advantage that it's interesting, isn't it? How they make one small change here and it impacts something over there. Even like I said there with the dismounts, it's just going to make everybody do the same dismounts on P-bar and high bar again. Whether they adjust then, it's really weird, isn't it? You know, they obviously changed the single leg balance, then they've put all the other links back in. I do like the fact that they're now changing things in real time. So they're like noticing the trend and they're not afraid to go, we got that wrong, let's change it. Because I don't remember that in previous cycles, do you? No. It would stay for the whole cycle. Yeah. Like you'd be stuck with that rule. So I do like that. I think that's probably evidence of the sport like moving forwards a little bit and then maybe listening to the athletes and the coaches, which is a real positive thing, which is pretty cool. Just tell me a little bit, Adam, you know, you spoke there a bit about obviously not necessarily pushing the big dismounts, but, you know, for me when I watch you, mate, like your high bar is just beautiful. Like, especially the way that you turn. You know, I went back in preparation for this episode and watched your routine from, I think it was the Aussie Jet World Cup last year on high bar, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and I watched that routine, mate. It's probably one of the best routines maybe you've ever done. It was a beautiful high bar routine. And I look at that routine and I go, quite a similar routine to me, maybe. And I go, all right, that routine is just so malleable and it's going to work in so many different codes of points. Is that not an apparatus maybe where you think, okay, if I can be this all-arounder, actually, if we look at one apparatus where we're weak as a team, we're weak on high bar. Could I be that guy that pushes that apparatus? And is that part of your plan? And also just tell me a little bit about that evolution of your high bar. Were you always a good high bar worker, or is that something that's developed over time, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I know as a nation we struggle on high bar, but we've got some high bar workings coming up and we need them. I know I could be one of them. That Aussie Jet World Cup, I was fit. That was a hard routine. I felt it was hard because I was doing a catch up like near the end of the routine.
I noticed that. I was like 7th or 8th skill.
So I was, I was fit as a fiddle for that World Cup, and I did very well. But it took me so long to get that fit, and that's my problem. Is it especially on high bar? I really struggled to just get fit quick.
Okay.
And also putting the right skills together. I remember before, at the start of that year, I was trying to push Casino. I was like, this is not working out. Like, it's a hard skill. I can't just come into the gym and do it every day. So then I was like, all right, start with Rabalka. I can do good with Rabalka. I'll do that. And then, it took from like the English and the British. I don't think I made a single high bar routine. I messed something up. And then, what else did I do? I didn't do the Welsh that year. I did an Elevian comp. messed that one up. And then obviously the boys were going Europeans and they've been selected. So like, okay, here you go, you've got a World Cup in Croatia. So okay, all right. Now I'm fit. I know I've been doing wrong and all this. So yeah, go there, smash it. And then the week later I went to Doha and then did the same. I think Doha was the better routine.
Okay, right.
I did a lot better in that routine. But I just remember like going out into Doha, I was like, I want everybody to watch me. I know I'm gonna make this routine. It's gonna be so clean. And yeah, I got a good score. I didn't make final because it was the last World Cup where all the specialists trying to qualify
Before
for the
Paris.
Olympics. Yeah.
Okay, so everyone was
I
there.
was like up against Angel Barras. He was popping through and Chinese Taipei gymnast, and it was a bit nuts, but it was a good experience because I was around all of those high bar workers, and it really like made me think, okay, right, this is what I need to do. They're pushing boundaries, they're pushing start value, and so I was very, very fit at that time. Maybe not at the start of the year, but around that time I was. An evolution of my high bar was the cross work, really. I wasn't good at releases. It was like my speciality was the Rabalco and the cross. No one else was really doing that, and that was just a numbers game. I remember me and Mike just doing swing halves, hop halves on the high bar, swing a half, hop half to one, blind change, top change, and then just going for it. And then all of a sudden I was just like, I'm gonna try Rabalco. I try Rabalco and I got it, and then it's in the routine. That's the thing with me. I'll do a skill and I'm like, it's in the routine. It won't be, I do a skill, I put it to a side, and then one day I put it in. It was like, that's the skill I'm going to do, that's going in. And that was sort of my niche back then. And it still is now a little bit with the Rabalco. I've got a couple more lads doing it.
Yeah.
But I won't ever take it out of my high bar.
Oh, it's just, honestly, mate, it's a thing of beauty. It reminds me very much of my old training partner, Sam Hunter. He used to be incredible at Rabalco. You probably remember Sam, right? From when you were younger.
He coached me a little bit.
Yeah, so Sam would do Rabalco with a half. I've seen him try 2.5 Rabalco, do all sorts of stuff, and he's just got that knack of just twisting his feet and being able to roll his hands on the bar. When you're doing that skill, just for the people that are watching that are gymnasts and would be very interested, because I think Rabalco is one of those skills that, and particularly Stauder Rabalco, it's quite valuable now in this new code, Adam. What are the things what does it feel like when you do your Rabalco? Like, I know it's maybe difficult now because it's somewhat autopilot for you, but when you were learning it, what were some of the things you used to really focus on when you were doing that skill? Because it is quite a unique feeling, right? Like some people maybe they twist early, right, before the bar in the opposite way. Some people really hang. Some people move their feet. What are the things you focus on when you do your Rabalco?
It's always, for me, it's the support on the one arm on the catch. Now, it's the scary part because everyone's thinking, I've missed my hand, I'm going to hit my face in the bar. But it really is just doing the numbers and getting used to catching that one arm. And then for the actual Rabalco, I would just treat it like a Ginger to L. So a cross, just miss my hand, Ginger to L. That was all I thought about. And then just obviously moving my hand to the side a little bit. So I'm falling down that side. So when I turn, catch and roll on my right hand.
Yeah, it's a thing of beauty, mate. Unfortunately, like I was great at Quast and Rabalco, but I was not good at inverse because I'd catch like this wide.
Shoulder range.
Yeah, I just don't have that shoulder range or wrist flexibility at all. Take me back to the early chapters of your career, Adam. When you look back now, I know you're still in the middle of your career, mate, and you're in your what would be considered probably your physical prime as a gymnast. But when you sit back and you reflect, what do you remember of those early chapters in the beginning and, I guess the early parts of your career when you were based down? And maybe tell people where you're from and the club that you grew up in. Yeah,
so I grew up in Devon and I went to a club called Falcon Gymnastics Academy, which is where Mike took me on. I remember all of the elite grades. Especially the first three, because the first elite grades I was just a kid. Mike took me there. And next thing you know, I come second and Mike's buzzing. I'm like, what? What's going on? It's like, you're in the national team. I'm like, what? And then, and that's when it sort of kicked off and got really real. And then the year after I won it, and then the year after I think I came second again or something. So those early days I really remember because it was sort of like that awakening point of like, I think I'm actually alright at this. And my parents definitely saw it. And then obviously you turn junior, and then you go to the 4 ways and the 5 ways now. and work up to the junior Europeans and whatnot. But I think the main things I remember are like the squads.
Okay.
And just being a kid, training with loads of other kids and getting to know them, and just having that independence. Because obviously you leave your family and you go away to Lilleshall and you're training with all these new faces and these new coaches. And I just remember, I hated it. To be honest, I hated it because I didn't want to be away from home. And obviously there's a little bit of pressure that comes with it when you're trying to impress national coaches and whatnot. But I mean, I look back at it now, I'm grateful for it because it's built me into the person I am, and I can deal with loads of situations purely because of the attributes I've got from the sport and the situations and the environment I was in when I was growing up. So I'm very grateful for that side of it.
It's a very unique childhood, isn't it? Like when you sit back now and I think about it, and I have those moments of reflection where I realise that from speaking to people that were never in it, because it's very hard for them to get their head around. So like Connie, for instance, was like, what do you mean you left home at 14? That's such an odd, what a crazy thing to do. How did your parents let you do that? And you're like, well, it's hard to explain, but when you're in it and it becomes your whole life, and and I'm also and no one would have stopped me. I'm going to go and do that. That was my dream, and growing up at Lilleshall and spending all that time there and being out of school, it is unique. You become different, don't you, straight away? Even in your little school, people treat you slightly differently because kids know, Adam goes to Lilleshall to train for a week. It's just it's an odd thing, isn't it? It's very different. And I think I look back now and I'm very appreciative for it because in many ways I grew up quite quickly. And I was able to be quite independent and travel without my parents and do all those kind of things from a young age. I think in some ways it makes you grow up too fast and you start feeling pressure that you're probably not supposed to have when you're a 11, 12, 13-year-old kid. When you're going to represent Great Britain in a four-way in France and there's all this pressure because you've won it for 10 years in a row and you're and you can feel the tension from the coaches who are nervous because they're under pressure from the people above them. It's quite it's certainly a pressure cooker. And to grow up in that as a kid is a unique experience. I think that probably not a lot of other kids have.
No.
What was it like, Adam? Because you had a little bit of a melting pot, a sweet spot down in Falcons. Because am I right in Joe? Was Joe Kenwin Jones from the same gym? And there was another lad as well who was really good on vault. Could do triple twist on vault.
Oh, Ryan.
Yeah. So a real group of you guys doing pretty well. Was that Mike's first time around, or had he been coaching for a long time?
I mean, Mike obviously coached me up from a very young age. Same as with Ryan and another lad called Byron.
Okay.
And it was mainly us three, and he took us on. And then Joe Kemling came in a few years later. And then we had the new build of Falcons in 2012.
Okay.
And then I think that's when it really started to kick off. We came together as a group, and we just was going at it. And and obviously George as well, one of my closest mates, used to train with us. And we had a good team, a really good team. It was a proper brotherhood, and it was obviously still friends with him now. Ryan's still going, Joe's still going. George and Byron, unfortunately not. They've got jobs now. So.
Unfortunately got jobs.
Not so lucky to keep dipping around a bar.
It's a really good point, mate. I say that to people now, a lot of athletes. I'm like, do you know how lucky you are to be able to still do this? It's so amazing because there comes a point where there's a bit of a reality, and that comes for everybody at some point. So to still be in the thick of it, it's a really good point that you make there. What do you remember about that Junior Europeans, Adam? I look back at that, and I've had this conversation with Jamie and a few people. There was a lot of pressure at that time to win another team gold medal, right? And you guys win the silver, which is still an incredible achievement. But, I personally remember around that time, there was certainly an attitude of, well, if you don't win gold, then it's not good enough, or it's not what we wanted. What do you think that did for you guys as a team, kind of mentally around that time? Could you feel that or not?
Yeah, we could feel it, but for me, I felt so confident that we would win just because, obviously the guys before won it, and there is that pressure, and Russia was our main competitor, which we all knew. But yeah, I didn't feel like there was pressure being put on us.
On you.
I think it was more confidence and like.
Okay.
There was never really a sit down like you need to beat Russia, like you have to go through. It was never any of that. Honestly, I feel like the coaches and the staff really dealt with it really well, and it really put me and us guys into a good position. Obviously, it was lingering in our head because we knew we had to beat Russia.
Yeah,
like that was it. But the whole prep camp was good. I enjoyed it. It was my first sort of experience of like staying at Lillishore for like 2 weeks straight and. Yeah, going out with the boys, trying to get fit and ready. So my experience of it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, a really positive one.
But again, like it was, that thought was there and it was lingering in the back of our mind. And like we knew what we were up against, which in my opinion is good because then we can prepare the right way. But yeah, no, I mean, I didn't have any faults or any bad things to say about it.
And then after that, Adam, you obviously get subsequently you're selected to go and represent Great Britain at the Youth Olympic Games in Buenos Aires. I think at that point we'd had the one in Singapore. Johnny had been and competed. You go compete in 2018. What was your experience like of that? Am I right that you finished fifth all round?
Fifth all round,
off memory.
Yeah,
which is an amazing achievement, right?
Yeah.
The fifth best gymnast in the world, junior athlete, which is really cool. Whenever I go into a school now. And they said, did you ever go to any other Olympics? And I said, well, I did go to a Youth Olympic Games. And when I went to the Youth Olympic Games, I did win a gold medal. They're like, whoa. They're like, what's that? And I'm like, well, it's basically the Olympics for kids. It's like the best kids in the world. What was your experience like of that, Adam?
That was the best experience, man.
Really?
It was so good. Yeah, you had the multi-sport, you had the athlete village. All the other gymnasts are in the same boat. They haven't got a team of them. They come out by themselves and their coach. And it was so good. Honestly, it was amazing. Me and Mike had a blast. It was, I think after the qualification day, the first day it was pommel, my first piece. And I remember going through it, made the final. I was like, all right, this is on. And then I went to floor, qualified for floor, same with rings. Didn't do 2 vaults at a time. And then same with P-bar and high bar. And I just remember like, this is it, let's go. And from there on, it was just relax. Like I'm fit. We've done the work, now we can just enjoy the competition. And the crowd was insane. It was my first time going into a comp where the crowd was just packed. And they're screaming your name and like just absolutely getting involved. It was amazing, yeah. The food was good, the accommodation was good, and obviously meeting all the new people and new faces from different sports, especially on the Team GB side. I'm still friends with some of the guys now, some of the boxers, some of the swimmers, divers, so... Yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm, again, really grateful for that opportunity.
There's a real magic to it, like a Team GB comp in there. Just even getting your kit, sitting in the meeting beforehand with the chef de mission, they say, this is an honour, like you represent your cut. There's like it adds an extra layer of like, well, this is big, like this is really important.
Why we do it.
Yeah.
You know, we look for those opportunities and then gain.
Does any of that kit still fit you now, Adam?
That's
my issue.
I got the trousers. The trousers still fit, and I've got 2 long sleeve, white and navy blue
T-shirts,
and they're tight as hell, but I still wear them.
For anybody out there that gets selected to represent Team GB as a young man or woman, when they ask for your clothing size, go a size up.
Yeah,
because I have no kit left.
Don't make the silly mistake.
From the Olympics. Don't do it. Just go size up. And oversized is cool now as well. Go a size up because your like future self will thank you for that. Tell me a bit about the transition then into senior gymnastics, Adam. I think, you know, we've spoke about obviously your generation of Jake, Jamie, Pavel, and all of those guys, Josh Nathan, I guess, to a degree, although he's a little bit older. You guys probably struggled with transitioning into the senior team because COVID came around and kind of just put the brakes on it. Was that like a difficult period to manage? Imagine being down in Devon, you were probably quite isolated at that point, being down there, right? Yeah,
it was very isolated. And obviously we tried to keep as fit as we can in lockdown. Slowly slipped away, as I'm sure for the other guys who did too. But near the end, when we got to like, we started training again, I was like, I actually put a bit of size on. Obviously, I'd been eating a bit in lockdown, but I put size on and I used it as an advantage. And I remember going back in the gym one time when the coaches were back in, and they're like, is Adam taking something? Like, you looks massive. And I'd literally just eaten so much in lockdown and then like shredded it off in training and just got really strong. That really, really benefited me towards rings especially, and the power based on floor and vault. So again, like, I hadn't found my feet. I literally, it was all new. And before, in 2019, before COVID, I got a stress fracture in my back.
Okay.
Which is pretty common for the juniors going into seniors. But for me, I think that was just growing. Like, my body was just developing. And, getting used to the new skills and the, obviously 10 skills in the senior, and trying to get strong and whatnot, trying to push big stuff. So, it was a strange transition for lots of reasons. But after COVID in 2021, I sort of like started to, put the pieces together a little bit.
Yeah, and then you start doing pretty well in that cycle, right? In 2022, you start having a few opportunities. Did you medal all around prior to winning the British, Adam? 2022, did you win a medal around that time in the all around? No. You start picking up some medals on individual apparatus, I think, and then you transition into obviously the British 2023. You're a year out from the Paris Olympic Games at that point. I'm sure the Olympics is like on your mind, but you've not competed in a major. Just tell me about that British 2023. I think for anybody, and I stressed this to Jamie when we interviewed Jamie earlier this year, to win a British all-around title, something I never did as a senior athlete. Like, that's such an incredible achievement. Just the trophy in itself is really special. It's one of the oldest trophies that we have in the sport of gymnastics. I feel like there's the trifecta of trying to win the all-around British title, the Adams Shield, and then the London Open, because those 3 trophies, if you could have all of them in a collection, that would be like the holy grail of winning British gymnastics titles. You did that, Adam, in 2023. Just tell me about how you physically felt at that point in 2023 and the competition itself and how it went for you.
I remember being so fit for that comp. I just very relaxed. I remember a few issues before the British that really played on my mind, but going into the comp, I just remember, to be honest, I just remember just get through the comp. And I was so relaxed from what happened previous weeks before that I just, took it piece by piece. And I actually remember messaging Mike in 2021. I said, Mike, I want to be British champion and I'll do whatever it takes to get there. And then going into that comp 2 years later and it actually happening, it was like, that was a dream come true, like, for sure. That was the one competition I wanted to win in my career, was being the senior British champion. And I made it happen. Like, the comp actually didn't go the way I wanted it to. I did a handspring double pike and floor and flying out the floor, and then I had to finish off the routine. But the actual comp itself, because I was so fit and so relaxed, it just came together. And I remember doing my P-bar dismount, which was my last piece, stuck it. I just walked off and I was like, no celebration. I was like, oh, okay, all right, let's go back now. And Mark was just like, Adam, I think you're British champion. And I'm like, no, don't play with me. He was like, no, I think you're British champion. And I was like, there's no one else going and you're number one. I just remember looking at my mum and dad and just put my finger up and they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh. It was just such a moment. It was so good. And that's a feeling that I'm chasing. I want that feeling again. It was just... there's not a lot in life that can give you that feeling, but sport can definitely give it to you. And it was just all the hard work and the countless hours in the gym that just paid off. It was just my day, and I'll never forget it. And that stuck with me forever.
That's an amazing story, mate. And I'm sure that felt like probably the culmination of, at that point, over a decade's worth of work for not just yourself, but for Mike too, and the gym and your teammates and the club, and for that club for Falcons, you guys are kind of isolated from everybody else. You probably don't get the access that everybody else does to S&C coaching all the time and physios just being there all the time, right? You have to go out your way to get that. So I'm sure there is kind of like a mentality of like, oh, we'll stick together and it's just us. And so to have achieved that for the club and yourself is a massive thing. And then you then qualify for the team initially as a reserve and then Yeah. You're a replacement that goes into the team for the European Championships. Yeah. Just tell me about that experience, Adam, of then feeling, because it's maybe similar in a way to what Jamie's just done. He wins the British title, goes to the European Championships. You're in a similar position. What was that like competing at that level for the first time since you were a junior, which would have been, quite a few years previously, maybe 5 years earlier?
Yeah, I mean, I think because I had just come up such a massive high from the British, I had so much confidence. In my mind, I wasn't falling on anything, and I just enjoyed the comp, and it was one hell of an experience because, like you said, it was my first major since 2018 really, and I actually remember I was first up on floor in the team final, and I remember one of the national coaches coming over and said, "You're British champion, let's do this." I was like, "Oh, all right." Yeah, let's do it. It was so good. And then, we smashed the comp. I had a little mistake on parallel bars. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but apart from that, it was a quick turnaround, obviously, from British and then going from reserve and then going actually into the team. So that was a lot to deal with. But apart from that, the actual comp, I don't think I could anymore.
Yeah.
As a team as well, we were a little bit shaky, but we brought it together on a day, and it was a proud moment. So. And
what were you thinking, Adam? Obviously, after that, leading into Paris, I'm sure your eyes were on making that team. What did you learn from that 12 months, probably following that Europeans and then not being selected for Paris for whatever reasons? When you look back now, what did you learn in that time, that 12 months, about maybe what it does take to take that next step and be on a world's team or an Olympic team?
Balance with the sport. I went straight back into training after those majors and then to another World Cup and then back in training again for the World's Trial in 2023, and I just didn't have a break, and mentally I was just drained, completely drained. And I was in the gym a few times. I was like, I can't do this. So yeah, for me it was I needed that balance. I needed that break that I didn't take. But now I know that I learned from that experience. It wasn't the nicest experience, but yeah, as gymnasts and as athletes or just general people, we need balance in life, and we need to learn when to switch off and when to turn it back on again. And yeah, learn when to not push so hard, because I did that at the end of 2023 because I was like, I didn't make the Worlds. I need to do something special now for next year. And then I knackered my shoulder on rings. And then it's been an ongoing process since then.
Yeah.
So
it's very hard, isn't it? It's very difficult to be patient, because I think quite often young athletes and athletes in general, look, I'm guilty of this too, you think about peaking physically, you don't think about peaking mentally or emotionally, and all three of those things need to peak just at the right time, especially when it's an Olympic Games. And it's so hard to just keep your foot off the gas, particularly in that winter period between, let's say, the Worlds the year before an Olympic Games and the Olympic Games. Your brain thinks, right, I'm going to turn up to the first training camp in January and I'm going to blow everybody out the water and they're going to be completely shocked with the level of gymnastics and how fit I am.
Yeah.
But you're not peaking for January, you're peaking for August.
Yeah.
So it's just, you have to learn that, don't you? And the only way to learn that is to probably fuck it up.
Yeah.
And then you figure that out. You then, Adam, you watched the Olympic Games. I don't know how difficult it was for you to watch the Olympic Games, or, I'm sure you were very impressed with all of your teammates and it was a great competition to watch. You go through that period. At some point along that journey, you decide, right, I'm going to make some kind of a change. How did you come to that decision to decide to kind of move somewhere else and try something a little bit differently?
Firstly, the guys absolutely smashed it at the Olympics, and I'm so proud of them, and they deserve everything they got. But the transition I made from Devon to Notts was purely just an environment thing. I wanted to have guys around me in the gym. Now, when I was in Falcons, it was very much me and Mike, and I was very lucky to have that, because I've always said this, Mike's like a second dad. He would do anything for me, inside and outside the gym. But I was just missing those lads who just wanted it, that hunger. And I thought moving to Notts would give me that motivation, even on the days where I'm feeling absolutely trash, and just coming in and still going at it. So it was an environment thing. Like you said, Devon's very remote. Up here, you're in the city. There's a lot more going on. But yeah, that being said, I still go back to Devon. I still go back to see Mike, go into Falcon, see everyone. So I absolutely love that place. It's my second home. It's where I grew up. And I'm very grateful for what that club and what Mike has done for me. And I'll never ever forget it. And he will continue on with my journey till I finish, and I'll always keep him updated. But it was, like I said, it was just an environment thing, and I just needed that team around me.
Very much iron sharpens iron, right? And you can, I find myself in a very similar position after 2012. Everyone that I was training with effectively retired, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, who do I effectively compete against day in, day out, to slowly get better and better and better and improve? And I found that quite difficult. It was just me and Sergey, and that was great, but that is quite mentally draining. And what happens is you both end up spending a lot of time inside your own head. And if someone's had a bad day, you can tell someone's had a bad day, and you bring that energy into the gym. And what was Mike's take and advice around that time, Adam, when you were looking to make that transition?
Nothing but supportive.
Okay. Because that's quite big of a coach. A lot of coaches ultimately have an ego, right? And they, their athlete is their life's work.
Yeah.
But I think to be able to go, look, I've done all I can here in this situation. You need to branch out and go somewhere else. That's a really great thing for him to have done, and obviously shows how much he just cares about your career and your journey.
Yeah, like you said, he said it's my journey, and he will support me 100%. That's what he said to me. I remember when we had the conversation, and obviously it was a sad moment because we've been together for so long, and reality struck a little bit, and I had a few tears and whatnot, but he was nothing but supportive, and I obviously thank him for it because it was a really, really tough decision.
Yeah.
But again, that being said, I still go back to him, still message him, still keep him in the loop because he is very much still my coach, and like I said, a second father. So.
Yeah. And what about the back end of that Olympic Games and the end of 2024 then, Adam? Do you move to Nottingham? Obviously, everything's very fresh. You take a bit of time to settle in. Is there a clear strategy that you've adopted for this Olympic cycle? And how much of that has evolved even in the time that you've been at Nottingham? It's maybe getting on for a year now. In that time, Adam, have you not changed the plan, but have you had to deal with maybe the shoulder from the back end of 2023 still, and has that impacted the initial strategy that you were maybe going to adopt for this cycle?
Yeah, I was I was hoping to go into the start of this year with shoulder fixed, body fixed, whatnot, being used to the new environment and competing for a new club. You actually gave me some advice. You said don't underestimate of moving to a new club. And I was like, I didn't really get it at the time when you told me, but then now I get it. I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, it makes sense. I've, didn't find my feet, and I'm still getting used to the new club and whatnot. But I think with the shoulder, being in the city, especially in Notts, I was very, very, I said I'm very fortunate to have so many other locations like EIS in Loughborough, and the physios there, and Lillyshaw just being down the road rather than 4 hours up the motorway, and just going and seeing the correct people for my shoulder and doctors and whatnot. So that was very lucky, and I'm very grateful for that, because now my shoulder's in a good position where I can crack on and just storm ahead on what I need to, and not have to worry about doing rehab for 2 hours a day and worrying about doing a long swing on rings and dropping off in pain. So it was definitely, since 2023, the shoulder was an ongoing issue. Thankfully now I've done the work. It's the correct people seeing my shoulder and looked after it, which I'm very thankful for. And now, like I said, I'm in a position where I can crack on.
It's interesting, isn't it, what you say there, Adam, like just being 4 hours from Earlshall. How important is it you put yourself in a location where you've got access to everything?
Yeah.
And have you learned that maybe, would that be maybe something you advise athletes to do maybe a little bit sooner if they are really far away? Maybe look at that. It's probably very individual, right? But I'm sure now you're like, oh my God, on my doorstep, I've literally got all of these centres that I can just go to.
Yeah.
Back then, there was no one around me. I was just left to my own devices.
It was very much like that, but I was born into that.
So you didn't know any different?
No.
Yeah.
So all of this is just a new experience, and it's opened my eyes to like how much I can actually, use as being part of a British gymnast and having all these locations and opportunities to sort my body out and whatnot, have physio.
Is that maybe something there, Adam, where maybe I slightly phrased that question wrong? Is that something where you look at and go, maybe if you were talking to an athlete that does live in one of those areas, you'd advise them take advantage of everything you've got access to, because you probably don't understand how lucky you are, because that's always been your normal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously it comes with whether they want to move to a new location or, it's a big jump. And as an athlete, sometimes you need to, jump those hurdles to get to what you want. I don't know.
I guess if you are a gymnast, like I'll give you a great example. When Christian Thomas was training out at Liverpool, he could just go home every night.
Yeah.
And stay at home and have his nice Sky TV and his back in the day have his internet to play Call of Duty online, whereas we were all having to stay. I'm sure for him that made a massive advantage because he could leave the gym where it was, whereas we were going back to our room at Liverpool, which is, at times an incredible facility, but that can get very depressing very quickly when you're inside a room by yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe for some of those younger athletes that do live in the East Midlands, maybe they go to Notts or they train at Birmingham, they maybe don't appreciate how much they've got access to being a British gymnast.
Yeah.
And it's not just necessarily the money you get paid and the funding, it's all the support that comes with that. And I think a lot of the time I look at younger athletes and go, you don't utilise this. You'd only realise once it's gone how valuable that was. As soon as I retired, I can't just ring up a physio and go, my shoulder's hurting, can I get a scan tomorrow? Like, it doesn't work like that.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, I think you are right in saying that. I think all the gymnasts should utilise everything British gymnastics can give us to help support us, to get us to where we need to be. It is vital, and especially physio, and even having psychology, it's so important to get things off your mind or off your chest and just really have a clean slate, especially when you go into competitions. There's so many things that's going through your head. You just need to find a way to deal with it, and those are the people you can go to, which is amazing.
And what about the next 12 months, Adam? Is Commonwealth Games like something that you're really focused on? How do you see the next few years playing out? What now your shoulder's fixed? What kind of is the strategy? How are you looking at the landscape of things? This year very much is an individual world, right? But as soon as we hit January, it's team events again.
Yeah.
How are you looking at things at the moment?
The way I'm looking at it is, if I get the rest of this year right, then next year will fall in place. And as long as I keep my body fit and healthy, and I do the training, I do the S&C work that I put together with the S&C coach from British Gymnastics, and I do the training plan that Josh has put out for me and we've talked about, next year, I believe I can, get the medals that I want to get, the European medal. I want to go Commonwealth Games, but at the same time, Europeans is on, and Europeans for us is more important. So I want that European team gold. That's what I want. I wanted it this year, and seeing the boys do it, it's just made me even hungrier. And now, like I said, if I get the rest of this year right, which I can do because my body feels good, it will happen next year.
And how do you see just the gymnastics level generally at the moment across the world, Adam? Is there anyone that you're watching whose gymnastics you're very impressed with? We're starting to see, look, things are moving, and already there are going to be Russian athletes competing at this world as individuals. There's no reason why potentially things couldn't change and they're all of a sudden being allowed to represent Team Russia at the Olympic Games in a few years. Who knows what's going to happen? Things move so fast. What are you seeing things? What gymnastics are you enjoying watching at the moment? Do you watch much gymnastics or not really?
Yeah, I always try and keep up with it, whatever comp's going on. I know Angel Barras from Colombia is actually insane. I don't know. I
just saw his bar routine the other day. It's just quite ridiculous, isn't it?
It's just, it's absurd. But like, these are the things we need to be aware of. You know what I mean? Like Milad Karimi as well. His high bar, he beat him at the Hungarian World Cup, especially after his a squat half stolder into Lukin. Like, what? Where are you doing that? How are you training for that? So yeah, but it's important to watch the competitions and keep up with the gymnasts and what they're doing, because it can give you ideas. I remember Brody did the Winkler from a back up rise, and now everybody's doing it. But then the code of boy FIG have gone like, they can't do it anymore because the body shape changed, so it won't be recognised. So now nobody's doing it again. So it's important to keep up with gymnasts from different countries and the guys within the UK as well, because you can learn and take away little things and just give yourself that extra benefit for when you do compete. Yeah,
it's a great point, isn't it, mate? When I saw him do that, I was like, oh my gosh, Monday morning, all across the world, people are going to be trying to do that Winkler on I-bar. Someone messaged me the other day and said, I was just practicing a back-up rise, literally just to change my hand to undergrasp. Someone went, are you going to do Winkler? I was like, no, that's not for me. Is there anyone you're looking forward to watching at Worlds? Obviously, we've got Worlds next week. When this episode comes out, Adam, the Worlds will be taking place. Is there anyone you're interested in watching competing in the next couple of weeks? Whether that's obviously the British guys, but internationally too?
Obviously the boys. Got to support the boys. I'm very excited for them. They can do very well. Same with the ladies as well. They got a strong team going out, so I'm very excited to watch us as a country go out there, wear the flag on their chest proudly, and I look forward to watching them alongside the other Japs. Angel on high bar, I think he can do a bit of damage. And then USA, they look strong. You know, you got Cameron Nelson, the floor guy. So I think this is his first major. So, and he does 2 triple packs. So it's pretty impressive. So, and again, I think this Worlds is going to be probably one of the most entertaining, because, like we spoke about earlier, start of next year, all the dismounts is being changed back to normal. So yeah,
but the rule stands for this Worlds.
Yeah,
it's staying
from
the same.
what I believe. Yeah,
okay.
From what I've read and been told.
Yeah, so it might end up in years to come. You might look back and go, "That was a crazy Worlds," because people were doing just the most maddest gymnastics. Oh, amazing! What are your hopes then for the rest of the cycle, Adam? How old will you be in 2028, Adam?
I'll be 27.
So when you look back at the age of 27, on the next 3 years that you've got ahead of you, what do you think you'll be happy with looking back on in terms of how you will have maybe experienced these next 3 years?
I think until I've really stepped out of my shoes of being a gymnast and having time to reflect, I'll never really know. I think when I'm in the moment like I am now, I'm still a gymnast, I'm still very driven. I find it hard to look back, even on my career now, and go, okay, yeah, I'm satisfied. I think until I've actually walked away for a few years from it, I'll be like, okay, I get it now. This was, a ride, one hell of a ride. But that being said, I am very proud of what I've done so far. I've got more to give, and yeah, I'm just excited for the next 3 years, because I'm in a position finally where my body feels good. How
do you get the rest of this year right, Adam? You spoke, you said just a moment ago, if I get the rest of this year right, next year is going to be a great year. What does getting the rest of this year right look like?
In terms of training, following the program and not taking any shortcuts, and keeping up with the 1%. Like I said, the rehab, I don't like doing it, but it keeps my shoulder healthy, it keeps my body healthy. So just being like on my own case and making sure I'm doing all these little things that by when it comes to December, I'm ready to attack prep next year. And again, like S&C, I think S&C is really important. And I think every gymnast should get into the weights gym and do some sort of rings conditioning or legs conditioning, just for that leg power and the robustness of the body, and just keeping your body healthy that way, because I think it's really important. That's how I got strong on rings. It wasn't just bodyweight exercises in the gymnastics gym. It was the weights training, the rings training in the gym, and putting it together. And I think for me it's really important, and I think for anyone that wants to get strong, get yourself into the weights gym, get a weights program going, and keep yourself fit and healthy that way as well.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point that you make, Adam, because I think most people think go to the weights gym just to get strong. It's not just that. It's actually your longevity in the sport, your robustness, your ability to take force and impact and produce force at speed. And that's one thing that I learned. I remember the first person that I really heard talk to me about the importance of lifting weights was Patronus. Yeah. I was about 20 at that time. And he said, oh, yeah, I just, I've said this on the podcast a few times. He was like, I just lift weights, smoke cigarettes, drink chicken, eat chicken, and drink coffee. And I was like, right. But he was like, yeah, I benched like 130 kilos. I was like, really? I didn't know rings people did that. Maybe that's what. And it took me another 12 months to cotton on to the fact that that was a really important element of getting strong. Yeah. So for anybody out there, young gymnasts that really want to get strong on rings, and maybe that's a weakness of theirs, you can do it. A lot of people have these misconceptions like me that my legs are too long. It's just an excuse. You can get strong, but you've got to really put the work in and probably get very comfortable with looking weak in the beginning and being embarrassed about not being able to hold the elements. Absolutely. But if you can park your ego to one side, that only lasts for a few months, and then all of a sudden you get closer to the skills. I think most people have figured that out now. But yeah, I think that's great advice, mate. Adam, thanks for joining us. This has been a really interesting conversation. We're going to enjoy following your story over the next 3 years, mate. I honestly do think you are one of the most balanced all-arounders that we have. And as this cycle progresses, I think the all-arounders are going to get more and more competitive with the specialists now that the skills have been brought down to 8. Yeah. And I think there's a real key role for you to play in this cycle, mate. And for me, just watching your gymnastics is all beautiful, but to watch you on high bar, I really do think you have a unique talent on that apparatus, mate. So keep pushing that, because I want to see that routine that I know you will just be working on over the next 3 years, and I can imagine it in my head in 3 years' time when I see you putting that routine out in the British in 2028 or whatever it might be. I can just see that picture already. Just keep enjoying it, mate, like you said. And I think for anybody listening that's a young athlete, Adam said something there that was absolutely spot on. We talk a lot as retired athletes about being able to, really take it in and embrace the moment, but I'm not sure that's helpful when you're in it. I think actually looking to the next thing and the next thing is what keeps you motivated and pushing on. And if you sit back and, I guess, appreciate the fruits of your labour too much, I think you maybe take your eye off the ball and you become less competitive. Yeah. And it's all about progressing and moving forwards, because that's what's I guess human beings are all about, right? Constant improvement. So brilliant, mate. Thank you very much. And all the best with the winter training.
Thanks, Sam.
And I will. I'm determined to do my 5 high bar routine for you.
Yeah, you better sort that out.
Because every time also, for anybody listening, I got told a few weeks ago that you're always making bets with people and taking money off them. Adam takes money off.
Oh, you got to cut this one out.
Adam takes money off young Kit. I've got a great nickname for you. Someone was telling me that you made a bet with Zakane and then he had to pay up because he didn't do it, and I was like, we should call him the debt collector. I was like, he should be the debt collector. So that's your new nickname, mate.
Damn, you exposed me.
Top man, Adam.
Thanks.